So have you ever wondered when you hear people talking about licensing dope beats, what does that even mean? Or maybe like, what is the difference between a beat and a cue and a track? Or maybe you just like to get to the point where you can license your dope beats and tracks and everything else and turn that into a full-time job. Well, today I have an interview with someone who's done just that, Anthony Clint Jr. He's got a great channel and you've probably already seen it, and I'm so happy to have him here. His channel is called Clint Music, and we really get into how he came up in licensing to the point where he could quit his tech job and work full-time in music licensing, and also as a music educator on his YouTube channel. So are you ready for a dope interview? I mean, like super dope.
The mix was dope. The musicianship was dope. That was dope.
Seriously, there are so many nuggets here, folks. You're going to have to just let this play and drink it in like a podcast. So much good stuff. Also, if you are interested in stock music licensing, which we talk a bit about in this interview, then check out my first full ebook on Make Music Income. It's called The Stock Market: Where, Why, and How to Submit Your Music to Stock Music Licensing. You can find all about it on the page below at makemusicincome.com/stock market. The chapter titles are on there and more information, but go check that out in the description below. All right, so let's get dope with Clint Music. I am here with Anthony Clint Jr. of Clint Music, and if you are paying any attention to music licensing on YouTube or Instagram or anywhere else, you're seeing this dude everywhere sharing the gospel of licensing and talking about dope beats, which we are going to be talking about, both those words actually. Indeed. But I'm going to start you off with the question I ask everybody on this channel, and that is, how do you make music income?
Yeah, so man, it's a few different ways. So obviously the big one is through sync licensing, and then that kind of creates a couple streams of income. So sometimes you're hired to produce some music for a production music project. So I may see some upfront money there just to produce the project, and then them to put the album out. And then once those tracks start getting placed, then I receive royalties on the back end every time a TV show airs. So that's one way. And then sometimes there's upfront sync fees. So if I have a song already in my catalog and a TV show or a movie wants to use it, they would pay me an upfront licensing fee to use that, to sync it to picture. And then again, depending on that situation, I'll probably see back end royalties on there. I also upload music to, stock music sites such as Pond5, and, cool. Create, some passive income there. And then I do production for independent artists, sometimes major artists. So that's a stream there. And then I also create loop packs and things like that for producers, and other courses and things like that, in addition to consulting. So yeah, a lot of different things to make up the income for the business.
All right, so licensing, you got into it, and what was your way in? Would you say it was through libraries, through finding as far as bigger money? Stock is what stock is. We'll talk about that in a minute. But as far as sync licensing, if you want to call it that, or music production, whatever you call it, what was your way into that?
Yeah, man. So a friend back in college, had told me about it, and this was probably like 2006, 2007. He had told me about it, and at the time I was helping him out because I think he had like a licensing deal, and I was just playing keys on some of his, over some of his tracks. And he was telling me about, making music for TV and film. And at the time, I was just like, my goal at that time was like to produce for all the big artists, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I was just focused on that. But as years went on, man, I started to kind of revisit that idea and start to look into it again. And I want to say around 2008, 2009, something like that, I started to get real serious about it and seek out information on it, and I signed up with the taxis and things like that, and went to the road rally and just soaked in a bunch of information. At that time, my music wasn't really ready, so I didn't get a lot of progress, a lot of yeses and wins and things like that. So I still had to continue to work on my craft. Fast forward to I want to say like 2011, ended up getting into a publishing deal with a smaller publisher, and that was it was an exclusive deal, meaning like everything I did had to go through them. So by this time I'm in Atlanta. I'm collaborating with different writers and producers and things like that. Pretty much I had to sit and wait that deal out before I could start pursuing more opportunities. Once I got out of that, that's when I really went hard and started what I call the road to 10 placements. And the goal was to, do everything I had to do to reach out to as many companies as possible and land 10 TV placements in the first year. And that's what kind of, started everything really and really changed the direction of my career as a producer.
So fast forward to now, which is the top income from licensing for you? Is it Upfronts or is it BackEnd?
I'll say Upfront for sure. I see the most money Upfront because that you have you're able to get the Upfront with the ads and the upfront sync fees for different things. And then sometimes like producing the production albums, it can easily add up to, you can get paid upwards of couple grand just to knock out a production music album up front, depending on how many tracks and the fee, of course. But I definitely see more upfront on that. But over time, the back end just continues to snowball. So
so you're getting the upfronts. And those upfronts aren't like gigantic. It's not like $1,000 per song, right? It's more like a smaller per song, would you say?
It depends on what it is. I've seen, for an Adidas, and it wasn't even like TV. It was like for their social media or like YouTube campaign thing. It was like $800 just for a single use in something up front. And then I've seen a Netflix film placement that was like $1,500 up front. And then in production, say, for a production music library, producing some music for an album for them, I've seen $50 a track up to, around $600 per track, $650, something like that. So it varies, depending on the budget, client's budget, things like that.
So the phase you are in licensing, is it the place that you've kind of wanted to be the whole time? Are you there yet? As far as, I think I'm pretty much like at the place where it's bringing in the income. I don't have to kill myself to go to the next level. Or you think you're at that level right now?
Man, I never feel like I'm there. You know what I mean? Like there's always room for growth. There's always bigger opportunities. So I don't feel like, I don't feel like I'm there where I want to be, I guess, because I don't know, man. I'm just always kind of pushing for greater. Right now I'm still in a place where I still have to actively work. I'm not in a place where if I just want to say, hey, tell my wife, hey, let's take 6 months off and go somewhere and not have to worry about anything. I can't do that yet because my income will slow down if I took 6 months off. So I'm not there yet, but that's absolutely the goal to get to the point to where, I can say, you know what? I'm not going to sit in the studio and create for a chunk of time. I'll be back when I'm back. Once I get there, that'll be a good place. To be for sure. That's a goal.
What would you imagine that your percentage is between the music you create for libraries that you work for? First of all, how many libraries you work for?
Oh man, shoot. Let's see. So I have deals with a lot. I don't remember the exact number, but the thing is,
like exclusive ones. I'm talking sync exclusive license.
Exclusive, yeah. So man, let's see. 1, 2, 3. It's more than 5. I'll say that it's in between 5 and 10ish.
Yeah.
Some of those may be a little non-exclusive, but at a time I'm usually only submitting to like a few at a time. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Um,
As
and
far as
and
relationship and stuff like that.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. There's a few like I talk to on a regular basis, and they're
Hmm.
constantly kind of
Cool.
reaching out.
Now let's talk just for a sec about your stock type of stuff. How much time do you put towards that, and where does that fall on your percentage of income?
So that is it's not as big because what I do is so I produce like non-exclusive music for artists, and like I just lease those beats to artists. So those same beats that I lease to artists, I'll throw on the stock music sites, and then I'll also throw any library music that I produce that's non-exclusive on the stock sites. And Pond 5 has been probably the my favorite one to kind of upload stuff on, the one I've seen the most traction from. And over like the past couple years, I haven't uploaded on there as much, but that is, I figured I'm creating this music already, so it's not taking any extra time to create it for Pond 5 because I'm already creating it for, my beat store. So,
Sure.
that's just one of those things where, let's just maximize this track that we created that's non-exclusive anyway, and just
Non-exclusive is not exclusive. It can go anywhere.
and go anywhere.
Do you
Exactly.
ever find that stock libraries become a B or C library for you for stuff that doesn't get accepted by exclusives?
Absolutely.
Oh, me too.
Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
I want everything to get used in some way, shape, or form. And if it's a track if it's something that I didn't finish, then I'll chop it up and I'll turn it into a loop pack and I'll sell that to producers. You know what I mean? So I try and use
Right.
everything, man.
I want to have just a little conversation about beats because I hear you talk a lot on your channel about beats, and I almost never mention the word beats in my channel, or do I see other like sync people talk about beats as much
Right.
as they talk about cues or tracks. Like my friend Dave Croft has 52 cues. And then
Mhm.
so we almost never use the term beats. We almost always use the word either cues or tracks, and this is the way it is with everybody who is in our Discord or whatever. They're saying it's not sync licensing, it's production music. I'm like, whatever. Everybody has everybody has their definitions of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I teach at a recording school, and I get a lot of young beat makers and stuff coming in there, and they are talking in terms of beats. Oh man, I just got this great beat.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, you mean like a drum beat or like a loop? And they're like, no, man, like a beat, like a whole beat. I get it, and I sing and I rap over it, and I'm like, okay. So, and we're trying to fight this war of understanding each other about what they mean by a beat.
Hmm.
So, do you equate beats with a cue or with a track, or do you think of them differently?
Yeah, I do because of I think it's man, so coming from um starting as a producer or the quote unquote beat maker, which that's a whole nother conversation there. But
Well, no, I think
um,
it's part of it because it,
yeah,
it comes from the hip hop rap
exactly.
culture of making music. And
Exactly. So, when I say beat, a beat it's an entire music production. It's an instrumental, right? So, when I hear beat, a cue is a beat as well to me,
yeah,
especially if it's hip hop, it's a beat, except, I'll use cue because its purpose is for TV and film, right? So
right.
there's certain elements that a cue is going to have versus a beat that I send to an artist, you know what I mean? So,
Or you put on
yeah,
a store, or you sell, or you put
exactly.
like Beat Stars or something like that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, still a full production. And then I know some people say, make a beat on the drums because I'm a drummer as well. Like that was my first instrument. So that's a beat, a drum beat. So there's like different definitions and interpretations of it. But I think what mainstream what a beat is just the instrumental production at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. And so, however, someone could also say, I just downloaded a beat from Splice, and it's
Mm.
really cool, but it's a 4 bar, uh, you know,
I call
hip
that a
hop
call that a
beat.
loop or
I
I call
call
that
that
a
a
loop
loop
or
too.
a sample.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't call that a beat. When you're referring to beats on your channel, you're referring to a track. Okay, cool. So obviously, it sounds like to me that your main thrust and focus, and there seems to be two camps in music licensing:
Hmm.
putting stuff in music libraries and live in that world, and then
Hmm.
putting stuff, and then really going out and just making relationships with music supervisors and sync agents and going out that way.
Hmm.
What's your percentage of that? Are you lean? I imagine you lean library, right?
Yep, definitely lean library. A couple relationships with supervisors here and there, but the majority has been libraries.
Like I talk with Tamara Bubble. You know who Tamara is?
Yeah. Oh man, she's killing it, bro.
She is a monster. She is killing it, and she is so fun to talk to. But we talked, and she's totally on the other side. She's got an email list probably of 1,000 people probably on it, and when
Wow.
she creates a new thing, she puts it out to that email list first. It doesn't go to a library. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't even
Hmm.
go on Spotify or anything. It goes right to that list
Wow.
because she knows that list. She has that many people and contacts. She took the whole there was a company that we both worked with a few years back where when we were getting our start, and we were
Hmm.
both kind of taking this course at the same time with this company in LA.
Hmm.
And this was back when I was first starting to try to get my mind around licensing and change my producing from producing for clients to producing for licensing.
Yeah.
And we were both part of that, but part of that was making a lot of contacts with different music supervisors and sync agents and stuff like that. And she's taken that whole road, and to the point where she doesn't really do libraries. And
Okay.
so you have both those. I'm kind of a library guy too, because I have so many things just like you that I'm juggling. I don't have time to be going and networking at all these events and be at sync events all the time. So I guess
Right.
that's kind of the way it is for you as well, right?
Yeah, man. And I tell producers a lot of times that, libraries allow you to just focus on being a creative. You sit down, you make the music, sometimes you may have to, type some metadata or something like that, and then you send it off, and then they
Mhm.
handle the relationship with the client and managing that. And you can just focus on what you do best. So yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And do you ever act as a sync agent for other people where you help them get stuff into libraries, and do you have partners? I work with a lot of partners. Like some of my clients are now partners. They're no
Mhm.
longer clients as much as they are co-writers slash co-owners of tracks that we are
Yeah.
trying to get licensed. Do you do that kind of thing?
Yep, absolutely, man. I have to, because there's, you just can't do everything. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So, to get those numbers up and to also give other people opportunities, man. Yeah, I've done things on a like kind of like a publisher side, and then as well as partnering up with other writers and producers, and and pitching that music out.
Cool, cool. For the people who are watching this and going, man, I want to get into this. You still think it's a good time to get in? Is it always going to be a good time to get in? Is it something that anybody can start now, or do? Are we past? Are we
Yeah.
post licensing?
Man, nah, man. The best time is like yesterday. You got to get started now. The
Yeah,
the longer you wait, man, there's your opportunities are passing you by, and I know I get the question a lot. Yo, is it like oversaturated? And I'm like, man, let's look at Hulu, let's look at Netflix, let's look at Paramount Plus, let's look at
for
BET.
real.
All of these streaming services, all of these cable networks, they're constantly creating content, and all of that
Constantly.
content needs music. So I think now's a great time.
Well, man, that is about all I have for you. I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I know you are a busy guy like me, and we have to be very careful with our time.
Absolutely.
Do you want to hype any of your dope services and any special thing you want to make sure people go to, and I'll put it in the description below.
Man, I guess if you're trying to learn how to break in the sync and learn all the mistakes to avoid, I just launched recently the refresh of my Road to 10 Placements video course, and it walks you through step by step how to get started and how to produce, prepare, and pitch placement ready music for TV. So if you want to check that out, just go to Road to 10 Placements. That's Road to the number 10 placements.com, and you'll get everything you need right there.
Cool. And absolutely, if you are not subscribed to Clint's channel, make sure you go down and I'll have the link to his channel as well, that you subscribe. And I am doing a video that may or may not be out by the time this airs, or maybe it'll air first, about where to go and submit your music and how to find libraries. And your book will be in that pushed on that video. So you can also find information about that there.
Awesome.
But man, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And let's get back to work, man. I mean, what are you doing?
Right?
Just sitting around.
Right?
Let's get back to work. We got work to do here.
Indeed. Let's go, man. Let's get it.
Thanks a lot,
All
man.
right. No problem. Thanks, Eric.
All right, we'll see you.
Yeah. So that's dope, man.